My name is Ben Booth. Welcome to Big Sky Voices.
And I'm Victor Wamette with Storyteller Films. And our guest today is one of the most famous New Mexicans. Our guest today is Antoine Predock. He's a world-renowned architect. He's built things all over the world. We're just happy to have him here as a guest and to tell us something about what he does and when he finds the spirit of a building he wants to build. Yeah.
So what does your name mean?
Antoine, Anthony.
Anthony?
Yeah, like dude, Antoine, Antonio.
Well, I've got a question. I've looked at some of the pictures of your art that's posted. Boy, you've got a body of work out there. How much of what you do is art, and how much of it is mechanics or physics or something? I mean, because it looks like you've got a mind that works in mysterious ways.
90% is art, 10% feels around the edges, makes it happen.
Oh, okay.
But in terms of intention, I have to keep an hourly tally on the art part versus the architorture part, which is what it is at the highest.
Architorture?
Well, you go from ether, from dream. And then you got to get that dream processed through lawyers, real estate people, drywall subcontractors, electricians,
Building inspectors,
fire inspectors especially.
Bankers.
Huh?
Bankers.
Bankers. That should have been number one. Bankers, financiers, clients who I probably am working with them because I like them, but their clients can be very demanding and can disrupt the force, like Star Wars, disruption in the force. But the force is how it starts out.
Yeah.
And that force is from inside, and it's a deep, poetic encounter with place, with culture, all in the service of the gods of architecture. And you got to always remember that, or you're going to just do another bunch of buildings like driving up Paseo del Norte. You're looking at that, whatever you call that, not architecture.
But what amazes me, Victor, look at this. This is a model of something that he is going to turn into a building. So this just comes out of your brain, and you turn this into reality. It's almost seems like magic almost.
Well, to some people it might seem that way, but it's very hard work, and I'm trained to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I have, I feel like I'm an artist, not a mechanic.
Yeah.
The science of architecture is there in your face at every step of the way, making a building. You can't just blow that off. It's there. And I was trained in engineering before architecture, so nothing scares me in terms of technical stuff. But then you dream, and you bring the client into your dream. You share the dream. You don't just wing off and hide out and do something, say, oh, hey, I hope you like it, because this is it. It's a hand-in-hand thing. It's not like just me in isolation doing it. There's a lot of back and forth. Your deepest dreams of the client are explored and hopefully satisfied. So then you go through, okay, if we're in the ether, with the intangible stage of conception.
Yes.
And then we got to go through all this stuff, and that might be years to blow out the other end. But when you blow out the other end, it wants to be back in the intangible realm, back in the realm of mystery, of a dream, as is how it began. Now, along the way, that can get compromised a bit and whittled away at. But if you got a good chunk of that early vision when you finish, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good success story.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. You got to go through this stuff.
So if I'm hearing you, when you finish a project, you want me to walk up to it and say, maybe my breath stops a little. Maybe there's some interruption in my mental processes.
Or you wet your pants.
Or I wet my pants and say, oh, holy, whatever. That's really something.
Holy whatever, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I'm not trying to design that into it, but if that happened, and once in a while I hear that feedback, that has happened. No wetting the pants.
Yeah.
But, no, I mean, that's, bottom line.
Well, that's what every artist wants, right? Whether it's a picture in a gallery, they want the viewer to walk up to it and have an experience.
Yes, exactly right. When I was in Phoenix, opening the Arizona Science Center downtown. And it was a grand opening, kind of everybody there. A woman came up to me. I just finished a building in Tempe, the Nelson Fine Arts Center at ASU. A woman came up to me and said, Antoine, you did that building over in Tempe, right? I said, yeah. Well, I was just want to ask you, when I go there, I feel something, and I can't quite explain it. And I said, well, enough said.
Yes.
Enough said. Thank you, and gave a hug. That's, when that happens, that's great. And it may or may not happen. It's, it's in the eye of the beholder and the feelings of the beholder.
Yeah.
Because it's about a deeper thing. It's a deeper resonance. When you're working as an artist, you guys are in film, you, something from inside comes out, and it isn't in your head necessarily. I try to bypass my head as much as possible because it's nothing but a trickster,
Yeah.
as you guys know,
Yes.
right? And come from another place, and it's not like you're in a meditative trance, but because you're there, full blast, you're thinking, you're using your intellect for sure. But it comes from another place.
Yeah. I'm reading a book called The Zen of Archery.
Yes.
And he says, and that was written about 70 years ago. He said, if you overthink something, you lose the magic of what it really is. And
Yes.
he says, in archery, if you overthink that shot, you've already lost the shot. You've got to learn to let it think for itself. And he said, that's the Zen of archery. It's not a Western idea. He said it's an Eastern idea. What do you think? Same
I
thing
totally
in
agree with
architecture?
that. Well, I'm translating it to like an outfielder. So there's a long fly ball, and the outfielder can overthink that thing.
Yeah.
But if he goes inside, and he's an athlete, or he wouldn't be an outfielder, he tracks the ball relentlessly with his eyes, or her eyes, and commits to that trajectory, and is one with that trajectory. I think you could say that about tennis. Tim Galway had a system called the inner game of tennis, and he was a Zen Buddhist,
Yeah.
and he talked about the eye as the ultimate connection, because the eye goes right down here too. And so the outfielder isn't thinking about, oh man, I better kind of watch, don't sprint to get it because you might overrun it. The outfielder is just, there's an inner pace that's established through that focus.
Yes.
Exactly right.
I apologize about this picture. Ran out of toner, but this looks like a glass or glowing building, and it looks like it's got a spiritual message. Do you recognize the photograph of the building? Can you make it out with the poor?
Can I recognize it?
Yeah.
I spent 10 years of my life on that.
Tell us about that. What is this about? Because when I saw it, I thought, yeah, this is something special. What
Yes.
is it? This was the one. This was at night, and it looks like it's illuminated from within.
Where is this?
Winnipeg, Canada.
Winnipeg, and that's the museum.
Canadian Museum for Human Rights.
Okay.
It's the first national museum they built out of Ottawa.
Okay.
And Winnipeg is honored to have that. It'd be like building a Smithsonian or a mall on Washington building here in Albuquerque.
Yes.
It's that
Okay.
crazy. But it happened, and it's constructed and done in
Did it take a long time for you to build that?
10 years,
10 years.
from conception to occupancy.
It must be absolutely gorgeous at night when the lights come on.
It is.
Wow. Yeah.
Antoine, I want to ask you a question about process. You told me a story years ago about doing something in China, and you went on a journey on the Silk Road.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Okay, I think that when you just let's make a bigger picture.
Okay.
Globalization, where there's an evening out of the world, and I love my iPhone, I love my smartwatch, I love all that stuff. We all love those things. But it brings people together. Facebook, all the social media stuff, connects people, sometimes for good, sometimes for bad. And in that context, sometimes we ignore how special the place is where we are, and we tend to look for the generic solution, the solution that can be applied. This can be applied universally. I mean, somebody in Inner Mongolia has one just like that. But when we make a building, that should honor the place. It should be absolutely start with me, for me, a fundamental understanding of the place. So in China, how am I going to understand how to design a museum with content coming from art influenced by the Silk Road journeys? How can I really get that without going out there?
Okay.
And it was really, it was like a great place to go to. Can't deny that. I saw the Terracotta Warriors. The Silk Road really begins in Xi'an, where the warriors are, and Terracotta Army. And I drew crazily all the time, and I draw a lot. If you look at my website, you'll see my drawings. And wherever I go, I try to do that to penetrate the place. Then I make collages that maybe are like a movie director's storyboard,
Right.
where
Yeah.
I map out intention and history about a place. Even incorporate quotations from poets and great writers who have written with the place I'm working for inspiration, and to soak it up. And that's kind of a fairly long gestation period before I'm ready to let something happen. And I don't think if I don't take my time on that and give it what it deserves, then the project could be incomplete. But in architecture, I'm working against the deadline.
Yes.
It's a deadline every time, as you guys do in your work, and you got to balance all that. Like when you have an idea, right? You don't want to just spew it out. You want to let it cook a bit,
Right.
and let it
Exactly.
marinate.
Yeah.
Let it become enriched.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. And season it sometimes 3, 4, 5, 10 times before you actually really get there.
That's
And
right.
sometimes when writing, a character will say to you, "That's not what I meant. That's not who I am."
That's cool. You're
Yeah.
talking to the character. Right? That's
The
cool.
character's talking back.
That's cool.
And then they have complaints.
That's cool.
Hey, I'm going to bring this back to the mundane. What's the biggest project you built?
Well, the Canada project is a really big project. It was $350 million for one thing. The San Diego Padres ballpark.
I was going to say, what about the ball
The
stadium?
ballpark would, I guess, in terms of physical extent, the ballpark would be the biggest. Because it's 45,000 people.
So you've not only done museums and sort of esoteric places, you've done places where the people come every day, huh?
Well,
Like
in that case, yeah. San Diego, this was in around 2000, maybe 99, 2000, I got the project. And at that time, nostalgia was running rampant with ballpark design.
Right.
Baseball's nostalgic.
Yes, it is.
You talk to anybody there, all they do is talk about Honus Wagner and the greats and Gehrig and so forth. And the ballparks were kind of imitative of that. Like Wrigley Field's a classic, but it's real. To do an imitation of that seemed like the biggest cop-out I could ever imagine.
Right.
So I said, look, if you want to style it, if you want mission style, if you want to Taco Bell this thing out, with arches and stuff and red tile roofs, you really should get somebody else.
Yeah.
And my client was open to what I was doing. He wasn't sure yet when I said that, because there's a lot of heat down there to make it mission style, right?
Right.
San Diego.
Right.
And I said, if you do a nostalgic take, you're trivializing the missions, that you so dearly love. So let's don't do that. So I wanted to make a garden
Okay.
for San Diego, and I think it's a very successful garden. In USA Today, they had, after the All-Star game was played there last year, or 16, I can't remember which year it was, and there was an assessment of all the ballparks in the country, and USA Today surveyed the country in terms of fan popularity and whatever, and it was number one.
Was it really?
Yeah, the San Diego Padres ballpark was number one. So I'm really, really proud of that, to get that
Nice.
kind of feedback. And it's like the fan experience is very special. You guys should go to a game there if you haven't.
Not yet, but
Yeah, I hope.
What is something that you really wanted to build or create that for some reason didn't happen? Can you remember something like that?
Yeah, quite a few.
A lot?
Yeah, I've got a portfolio of those. But with those things, here's how I process it. There's an architectural competition.
Mhm.
and you go all out to do a competition, because with the people I was playing against, you go all the way. I mean, competition that was intense and scary. And there might be like 6 people or whatever, 6 firms. And you go all out. And you know you had the best one.
Yeah.
Everybody else on the street, word on the street that saw the exhibitions or the entries, oh man, you're going to get that, man. You don't get it.
Yeah.
So first of all, you're pissed off. And that sticks for a while. Not too long, because you know it's happened before, so you get over it. And you think, okay, never mind all that. What we did collectively, the team, and these are teams. It's not just Antoine doing all this single-handedly. Obviously, team of, depending on when you measure it. My career, 30 people, 25, 30 people, working on different things at once, and fantastic colleagues, supporting me. We don't win the competition, and we're depressed a bit for a while. But then we meet and we say, look, remember the energy we put into this? We pulled all-nighters. We had pizza for a diet for the last week or so. We busted ass. Can I say that on your podcast?
Yes, you can.
Say it.
We just busted ass, and where'd it go? Is that energy gone? Like when you die, is your energy gone? No. It's go somewhere. Does the energy we put into the project go away? No. It's in our spiritual savings account.
Yeah.
And I get kind of a laugh on that when I
Yeah.
lecture
Yeah.
with students, but it's true.
Uh-huh.
You've had failed projects, right? What you put into it, does that go away? No way, not a chance. It's there in you. Maybe comes out again in another guise sometime. You cash in on your savings account.
Yeah.
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 Gonna happen.
I've got another picture. I want you to look at it. Some of these are just amazing. And believe it or not, this is in Texas.
Austin City Hall.
Yeah, what a beautiful facility.
Thank you.
And it's just like Texas, they want it to be wide open in the sky and everything,
Thank you.
It's
Yeah.
great. Have you seen this picture?
I've seen the picture.
Yeah.
Go see the building, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll tell you a closer one that really inspires me is the Los Alamos Library.
Good.
You
You've
know?
seen that.
Oh yeah, I've been there. It's a beautiful building.
Thank you.
It's great.
When you
Thank
go
you.
back to see them, do you feel like these are your children, these creations?
I do. Yes,
Yeah.
I do. And sometimes my children have been messed with. And that's the trepidation I have.
Yeah.
Going back, oh my God, what am I looking forward to here? But no, I mean, that happens, and you got to live with that. I mean,
Yeah.
people modify their environments to refine them for their purpose,
Yeah.
not always following the aesthetic purpose or my intention. But in general, no, I love going back, and the other thing, if you get the bones right, the basic
Yeah.
power of the thing, you can change things about it.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
But the three of us have something in common.
Stories are the same way.
Victor
If you get
writes
the
stories.
bones
He's a
right.
writer,
Yeah.
and he writes screenplays, and those are like your children, right?
Oh, they are.
And I
They
write
are.
books, and I do this and that, and do a few things, and they're mine.
Sometimes the children misbehave.
Yes, yes.
Except when they're in print or on film out there,
Yeah.
the audience can't re-edit it.
That's right. That's true. That's
You're
true.
on safer ground than I
That's
am.
true.
Do you, when you're doing a project, someone says, hey, I want to build this building, how much time do you spend in your mind creating something you think would be relevant for that site, that use, that location, or that group? I mean, do you try to take all those types of things into consideration?
Sometimes, well, I talked about my process.
Uh-huh.
We make big collages. There's a deep process phase.
Mhm.
That's called research phase,
Yes.
where I want to culturally penetrate where I'm working.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think of deep time, any site I work on has, you picture like a meter stick or a highway road cut
Yeah.
where you can see the strata, the geologic strata, and you can see at the top maybe there's a house or there's some building on the road, top of the road cut, or there's some McDonald's wrappers blowing around. Well, that's a film. It's a few millimeters compared to the depth, the geologic depth of this planet. And I try to connect with that and make something timeless, and think of the most deep resonance
Yeah.
a place can engender in your work, and go for that. So the research phase wasn't something you take lightly. And the problem is I can't, with far-flung sites around the globe, really, I can't always hop over to one.
Mm-hmm.
Might have to work a while independent of the site visit. Of course, eventually that happens, but then I've got to just kind of rely on research and empathy and the poetics of a place that are handed to you, but at the same time, the deep, deep geologic time. Now, when you look at the Sandias, which are in your face here,
Mm-hmm.
atop the Sandias is
Those are the mountains that are sitting right outside our window.
yeah, they're incredible mountains. And there's Pennsylvania limestone. That's the epoch geologically.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole top strata is lighter,
Mhm.
and you can see layer, and then it starts to turn into Precambrian granite, one of the most ancient rocks on the planet. Now, those strata match. If you took a section through the Rio Grande Valley, those strata match 1,500 feet below the surface of the valley,
Is that right?
because it's an upthrust fault.
Mm-hmm.
It just tilted right up,
Wow.
blasted out of the earth.
Uh-huh.
You know, over time.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a cataclysm. Over time, and here it is,
Mm-hmm.
10,000 feet, more or less, 5,000 feet above the river,
Right.
and then add a couple thousand more
Mhm.
where it came from. So that kind of thing really fascinates me,
Mhm.
and I don't know how a building translates that. I mean, people sometimes say that there's a timeless quality of that image of that building. In that case of Austin, maybe it's the limestone that
That's what I saw.
From
I
the
thought,
hill
wow,
country.
He got it. I thought, wow.
that came from, that's like Austin shellstone,
Yeah.
and it's part of the environment.
Yeah.
But then Austin had has such a it's like Silicon Valley East.
Yes.
It's been
right.
called, right? A lot of tech companies there.
Mhm.
So I thought that the limestone could morph into a higher tech material
Mm-hmm.
and become copper.
Mhm.
And then there's a trellis it's out of the picture, that's photovoltaic cells laminated in glass. So it's energy for the building, but it's also filtering light onto this audience bleacher that views toward a courtyard stage.
So you're evolving into a further technology then with
Yeah.
you go to the
Yeah.
yeah
And then beyond, like, you could make all kinds of stories about that, but
yeah
that idea that every place is nuanced. It has this deeper time, but it's also like what happened yesterday. It's important.
Mhm.
Like Breaking Bad in Albuquerque. I think that revealed the city in such a special new way that in terms of just site location that Vince Gilligan chose. And I think that, of course, Bryan Cranston was incredible, and all the players, all the actors were incredible. But I thought it talked about our city in a way that was highly topical.
oh yes
But at the same time,
Yes.
there was that deeper New Mexico resonance
Yes.
that underpinned it.
Yeah.
The shots of the mountains, the outback places where they're going to go, where they're
where
threatening
there just ain't nothing out there.
nothing there, and they're going to kill Walter on the spot. And
Yeah.
he says, do you're dealing with here, and they let him go. Anyway, all that stuff
Yeah.
goes in the hopper.
Yeah. But I've noticed in some of your I can just imagine someone working in Austin, Texas, and they may walk through this thing for 5 years working there, and then one day they get it. They think, oh,
Yeah.
this connects.
Yeah.
Right. This
It may take that long, or it may never happen, or
Yes.
it might happen, day one.
Yeah.
Or they may never have the realization. They may just feel at home there. It may just feel like
Yeah.
yeah,
And not know why.
It's
Yeah,
right.
they may not overthink it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, what's remarkable about this, thank you so much, is that I anticipated a lecture about architecture, and I found a great spiritual message here, which really is encouraging and positive. I want to thank you for that.
Come on, didn't everything come from that? What's so unusual about that?
Truly.
Well, when we watch the news these days, you don't hear anything spiritual at all. You hear
Well,
conflict.
It sounds flaky to talk about it, but it's there. There's that life we all carry with us, and it's all personal.
Yeah.
You never can predict where it's going to lead you, and there it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Antoine, it's a pleasure having you here today for this podcast. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. You guys are fun to
Thank
talk
you.
to.
Oh, you're great. My gosh.